to fuck with my immunity with flu jabs, ingredients are unknown to me. A question to the dogmas are classed as a lunacy, but I just wanna know my choice so I can be true to me. I wanna be civilized, fuck this uncivilized killing in the country, giving weapons to the victims to fight wars. Why cause more bloodshed, more death, more tears and more upset, Be the change I wanna see in the world. People are hungry in the country, let's stop feeding the world. There's people bleeding in hell, set they're breeding in hell. Money powers people like they've been breeding with sure. They be wanting to dig up Antarctica for the fossil fuel power of sun. I'm a solar powered I am through the sky. We're the usual guys, spreading love from the inside out. But I will fight if I have to. You got your own choice, make your own choice. You got your own choice, so make your own choice. You got your own choice, make your own choice. You got your own choice, so make your own choice. Yeah, I feel alienated when I think about stopping. The bombs dropping on the country, propaganda got us lost, my guts dropping. The pain breached, love stopping, guns popping, toys I play with army men and young fun chopping. But it ain't fun and games when a child shot dropping to the floor. No one's there to stop the coffin blocking, empty copper rocking, blood clotting in my arteries. Arrows fly across the top blocking. So please tell me that we are free. Freedom of speech or the freedom to breathe. The way I believe is respect. Equally him as if he is you and you are me. Who are we to end a conscious life for the power of greed to endow and we? Cause we got our own choice and we made it. Yes, we have. Yeah, we got our own choice and we made it. We made the bed and laying there. We got our own choice, so make your own choice. You got your own choice, so make your own choice. You got your own choice, yeah, make your own choice. You got your own choice, so make your own choice. I've had enough of these people taking over the world. They've had enough of people like me spreading the word. Because I believe like others on the planet, the truth should be heard. The fate of the planet should not be rehearsed like this verse. I'm just speaking up. I'm just speaking up. I'm just speaking up. I'm just speaking up.
Just speaking up. Brilliant. Welcome back. I'm just about to sort of start checking sound and stuff. We've got some amazing guests coming on tonight. Oh, let's turn that off. Got some amazing guests coming on tonight. To have a chat about Web3 storage, something that's really interesting, certainly in light of what's happened over the course of the year, really, with the ordinals movement and all the magic things that can be done, sort of tethering various applications to the chain, to Bitcoin. There've been some really cool solutions over the years that I've sort of been on the fringes of understanding, like Gaia and Arweave and Ceramic, to name a few. But I'm really interested to get some of the sort of biggest brains in the space together, so we can have a kind of live brainstorming for them, educational session for me, and a few other people to see if there is a standard that we should be looking at when for people who are looking for ways to recursively use larger amounts of data tied to Bitcoin addresses, but not putting all of that data on chain. So that's the thing we're going to be talking about tonight. I've got lots of different people coming along. Got Charlie Spears from Luxor. Really been looking forward to meeting Charlie. He's done some really cool things in the space over the years. First time I heard the term, what does he call himself? Bitcoin accelerationist, I think, is the term that has been coined, that he coined, which I love. I wished I'd had that name 10 years ago. But yeah, super cool to meet someone who's just been doing so many different things and kind of concentrating on the kind of bigger picture. So I'm interested to talk to Charlie. I think we're going to have some input. Also, Dan Trevino, the artist, is going to join. The Liberal Thumb. Tommy Danvers, I don't think, is able to actually join tonight. Trip Monkey, BTC Rafa, really interested to talk to these guys about what they've been working on recently. You know, I think there's a lot of really exciting stuff going on behind the scenes to do with you know, the magic that we can do with data that is kind of frozen in time. You know, programs that are like ironclad, will never break, and will always be able to interact with other programs. And I think the search now is kind of looking for ways to tie into all the good of Bitcoin without necessarily using that data. Like, imagine an actual data layer for Bitcoin. You know, we've got Bitcoin, the layer 1. We've got stacks with smart contracts. That's a layer 2. I don't know whether a data layer would be a layer 2 or what it would be classed as, but you know, having a layer that has that same level of security and permanence that Bitcoin does, but all dedicated to data and for much lower cost. But you know, I think there probably does need to be a cost, and this is a bit like the argument for Arweave, and that's one of the things I'm interested in learning about, is this algorithm of paying a one-off fee that will pay for data storage for a specific item forever. Apparently, very clever. Anyway, let's listen to some more on-chain tunes while we get set up for the chat.
I definitely see signs of hope now that, you know, we have ordinals that are starting to kind of bring back a culture of actually doing things. It feels like there is real pushback to the laser eye movement, which is good. And it feels like there's, like some kind of organic return of global culture, which is definitely a positive sign to see. You ain't got none of that. It's gonna be a long day. It's gonna be a long night. Might be a long night. If I DSB, if it's in the site, I'ma put it on toast. I'ma put it on just put it on test. We gon' put it on black. Give you an imprint. Shout out to you. Shout out to everyone who's trying to work on the computer. Over 1 million. Too many to name it. I'm out. With the email address,
up to your TV and create dazzling color displays.
Silk Road.
There is another way to make money.
We begin with breaking news tonight. A mysterious online marketplace is shut down by the FBI months after our Call 6 investigators exposed how easy it was to buy drugs on that site.
It is called the
Silk Road website and online marketplace for drugs and illegal services.
Reporting to the sealed complaint filed by the FBI, the Silk Road had nearly 1 million members, and in 2.5 years generated approximately $1.2
billion in drug sales.
They were going to talk about the Silk Road, so-called because it was not a road, it was not made of silk.
a digital currency in which transactions can be performed without the need for a central bank.
All right, Jared, we come to you.
What is Ripple?
Wait, what's a Bitcoin?
Parties
for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice.
He's an early Bitcoin investor, and he thinks that Bitcoin's going to keep on going straight up. And did you tell me during the break, I know you did, and repeat it for the viewers, you think it's going to go to $1 million?
on brink of second bailout for the bank.
Money markets will dry up around the world by the end of the week. ATMs will stop spitting bills. Federal deposit insurance will collapse. Banks will close. Mobs panic. It's going to be the end of the world.
He was like, yo, do you know how happy I was for you to see you just shoot up to the top of the Bitcoin conversation? He was like, yo, you literally did the impossible.
We really got to figure out a better way to budget for the family's future.
Bitcoin.
What?
It's just a tool, isn't it?
There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin mined.
Sound money.
Opening doors for all colors, you know what I mean? For all opinions, for all ideologies.
This is an alien life form.
Bitcoin.
This money is
and you, lucky people, are listening to Guns and Money. BitcoinLivejn.
Bitcoin appears here electronic cash system. The last system fucked the world, so we're giving this a shot. Bitcoin appears here electronic cash system. Yeah, the last system fucked the world, and we're gonna try to stop.
Beautiful. Another. Oh, is this not? This looks like my mic is not playing. Okay, let's go back to this.
This system is trying to fuck with my immunity with flu jabs, ingredients are unknown to me. A question to the dogmas are classed as a lunacy, but I just wanna know my choice so I can be true to me. I wanna be civilized. Fuck this uncivilized killing in the country, giving weapons to the victims to fight wars. Why cause more bloodshed, more death, more tears, and more upset? Be the change I wanna see in the world. People are hungry in the country. Let's stop feeding the world. There's people bleeding in hell. Set them breeding in hell. Money powers people that have been breeding with shell. They been wanting to take up Antarctica for the fossil fuel power of sun. I'm a solar powered I am through the sky. We're unusual guys spreading love from the inside out. But I will fight if I have to. You got your own choice. Make your own choice. You got your own choice. So make your own choice.
Am I making sound now? No.
So make your own choice. Yeah, I feel alienated when I think about stopping the bombs dropping on the country. Propaganda got us lost, my guts dropping. The pain breached, love stopping, guns popping, taught to play with army men, young fun chopping. But it ain't fun and games when a child shot dropping to the floor. No one's there to stop the coffin locking, empty copper rocking, blood clotting in my arteries. Arrows fly across the top blocking. So please tell me that we are free. Freedom of speech or the freedom to breathe. The way I believe is respect. Equally him as if he is you and you are me. Who are we to end a conscious life for the power of greed to endow and we? Because we got our own choice and we made it.
Okay, I'm just going to fade this out here because I was just repeating myself there because I was panicking that no one could hear me. I'm still getting my head around all of this, and I'm kind of leapfrogging between various platforms here. So I'm just going to now jump back into the chat with Charlie. Spears. I'm just going to make sure that that Discord is going to be outputting the audio to the right place. I'm kind of doing it all kind of on the fly. Oh, that looks like that's already set up, so you should be able to hear us in here. Let me just get my mic on here. Can you hear me in here now, Charlie?
Yo, yo, yo.
Let's see. Anybody can hear me in here? Charlie, are you there? Can you?
Yep, I'm here.
Are you speaking and I can't hear you?
Check 1 2. Can you hear me? Hello?
Right, let me
Check
just
1 2.
give you guys all your...
Yeah, I just needed to change the speaker. I can hear you guys now.
Talk.
How's it going? It's good. It's good. It's good.
Speaking.
Hey, Nat. Is it in Atlas or is it Nat?
Me? Is it just me that's...
Either or either.
Check 1 2. Okay, I can hear you, Nat. I think Jim can't hear us.
Come on. I really thought
I can't hear Jim. He sounds
so
very
my
low.
mic should be going in there. That looks good.
And same with
I
Sam.
can't hear you guys. Okay, if you guys are just chatting, crack on, and I will just get you all your...
I don't know if you can hear us, Jim, but we can just about hear you. Like your volume is like super duper low. My phone's blasting.
And I will try and figure out what's going on with my audio.
Can you hear everyone clearly though?
Check 1 2.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly, definitely, but I can't hear Jim properly. Go again, Jim.
So this means we're not getting anything.
Okay, right. I can hear you better now because I turned up my phone a little bit more. Thought it was whacked, but yeah, I can hear you much better now. Sam can only hear two of us. Sam, you might have to turn up your phone, bro, because Jim is low unless you turn your phone up.
Can anyone hear me in here? I still don't know why.
Yep,
I can't.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Check 1 2.
So
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check.
I mean, if I just do this, so you guys can hear me now.
Yep, I can hear you.
I can hear you. I think actually you could hear me before. I was just ranting, and I think you could all hear me. I don't know. I'm just going to check with the guys that this is actually going out now on the on the broadcast. Can you hear us in the chat? Oh dear, I really did think I could do this all without a producer, but the more I'm going into it, the more I'm thinking, yeah, bitten off more than I can chew again.
I get it, Jim. I get it. There's a lot of moving parts.
It really is, isn't it? It's every now and then. It's like the first couple of shows. I did a show. It was actually a really lovely show. So okay, can't turn on mic, so someone can get in there. But anyway, I'll just have a quick chat with you, and then I'll sort the other mics out. But yeah, we recorded I think the first half an hour, and I had other applications open in the background. We had this amazing hour of conversation that just I mean, it's still, any hour of conversation in this space is valuable, but it felt like really great content that you know, the producers called me up and said, oh, it was a very short show, only half an hour. I was like, no, it was an hour and a half. It was all gone, all just lost into the ether. But anyway, yeah, it's really great to chat with you, because yeah, you've just done a lot of very cool stuff over the kind of same space of time. I would have probably referred to myself as an accelerationist had I known such an amazing term all the way back then. But our focus was actually on sort of Western Union, and this you know, the idea of kind of the world's unbanked having access to decentralized money. That was the main thing that was kind of driving me back in 2013, 2014. We sort of remortgaged my house and imported this big, massive 400 kilo ATM to try and learn about, crypto and about the space. But looking back on what you've managed to do in those 10 years is pretty phenomenal for the space, and just some really cool stuff you're working on. So yeah, I just wanted to maybe first of all just get a bit of a background of where you've come from in the space and where you think it's going from your kind of unique perspective. I guess with the background of what's gone on with ordinals and with storage on Bitcoin, because that's kind of primarily what we wanted to chat about tonight.
Yeah. I mean, where to start? I guess I'll try to be kind of condensed or a little bit brief, giving some context. I've been in Bitcoin and broader crypto for a long time now. I wanted to work in Bitcoin, but I was not a developer. However, my background was in energy, and I thought, oh, well, energy, specifically oil and gas, those things will never have anything to do with Bitcoin. Unfortunately, I'm not a developer. Those paths will never cross. And then the block size war happened in like 15 and 16, and that got me really into looking at Bitcoin mining specifically and wrapping my head around that. And then that led me to look at getting into Bitcoin mining. And it was a very different time back in 16 and 17. And so my foray into full-time Bitcoin was in Bitcoin mining, specifically doing off-grid Bitcoin mining. If you're familiar with this idea of capturing flared or natural gas, that is actually what I've done for the past half decade here in the center United States. And just by kind of association and just incredible interest in Bitcoin specifically, but also the entire crypto asset space, I have paid very close attention to everything happening on all blockchains, both as speculation and just curious about innovation and this new type of consensus mechanism we call the blockchain. So I did a lot of business with a young company named Luxor at the time as an individual. And then when I hopped into a random Discord server about January of 2023, I was poking around and following this one podcast. I was one of maybe a dozen listeners, and that was the Hell Money podcast, where Casey was talking about this new thing he was building, and I hopped into the Discord to learn about ordinals, and then he released the client on I think January 20th, and I just happened to be around and hanging out as the whole space took off, and that kind of catapulted me into this more prominent position in the ordinals and broader crypto space. And that brings us to today. I joined Luxor full-time to work on things that Luxor is currently doing, as well as focus on the kind of ordinals division of Luxor. Luxor is a Bitcoin mining company, specifically a mining pool, and has other Bitcoin mining verticals in software, brokerage, derivatives. And yeah, I love doing this. It feels like there's been probably 3 eras to my Bitcoin life. The first 5 years was me being not super technical, not really, more of just a speculator in Bitcoin. And then about a half decade of actual full-time Bitcoin mining. And now it feels like I'm entering into a third era where it is focused more on block space, and it's the most excited I've ever been. Bitcoin is undergoing a revolution, a renaissance right now in who's using it, what they're doing on it, and I am excited to talk about block space and storage and this idea of Bitcoin not just as a monetary consensus mechanism, but also as a consensus on time stamping of data, which is a fascinating concept. So, and one of the best things you can put on it, Jim, is music, which is
dude.
It's both like a forward traversal of time of data of bytes as they're displayed on chain. And I just think it's such a cool thing, both as an artist and as a bit of a blockchain mystic. I like creative stuff on Bitcoin. So yeah, that's where I come from.
Awesome, dude. Well, I'm thrilled to hear you say that. And for me, it is such an exciting time. I mean, I've had a really exciting decade, to be fair. I was not into tech. I wasn't in finance. I was a sound man, touring. Had a lot of fun traveling the world, but I had got sort of homesick I had children at this point. I had my first child. I've now got 3. But I was looking for a kind of way out, and Bitcoin just kind of happened. I just became completely obsessed, but it was kind of all about this mission to kind of make it become this money for the kind of majority who don't get to participate in the global financial system, that suddenly there was a way in. But once banks and insurance companies and all these people started buying into it, and then a country, once all of this was happening, I was kind of like, yeah, that mission's succeeded. That's done. We don't need to. This thing is totally taken. It's grown roots, and it's now there's more interesting things happening. And that was kind of when Blockstack came onto my radar because of just someone talking about get closer to Bitcoin, find a way to do it on Bitcoin. So that drew me in. But then, of course, when ordinals came, that was the real moment, because I had been trying to create create some software that would work. In fact, my first ordinals, they're all around sort of 50,000-60,000. There's lots of broken code because I just didn't know what I was doing. I'm very much a suck it and see. That's partly why I love this space. It works very well with someone who's impulsive and stuck in the future as me, and so I just started just doing stuff, breaking. Oh look, that worked. Okay, let's work with this. And then GPT came along and allowed me to kind of become literate in code, and then to sort of think, like in my mind, there's pretty much nothing that you can't achieve with code. Code is this kind of there's this level of flexibility generally just with the concepts of what you're doing, passing numbers from one place to another to achieve something. It does a lot. And the fact that we can do it in this single domain, that really excited me. And then I started thinking about how to get the size of things down. That was what then got me onto the Audionals idea of getting audio a little bit smaller, hopefully, than it is as plain audio, but then adding traits to this audio so it can sort of announce its various traits when it arrives in a sequencing platform to make things easier and to make the sequencer allowed to be smaller. But now it's kind of moved to another level. When I logged on the other day and saw, I've had a couple of people who've been queuing up some big works that they want me to sort of cut up and piece back together, a bit like I did with the first song in the stream earlier. I just did that manually, but I can, you can do that with a sequencer, or you can do it with code where you just tell them to play, so you can break songs up. When I saw the price, I just thought, I really don't think this is the right thing you're doing now. What we really need is Bitcoin needs a data layer. Bitcoin needs a layer that, by the way, if anyone sees anyone in the, I'm just going to quickly check here if anyone, because I haven't seen Dan. But I may have missed people because I haven't given them out all the proper roles. But anyway, where was I? Where was I?
We were Bitcoin data layer, everything. I mean,
data layer, yes, the data layer. Yeah. It's like where is that? I want to feel that there's the incentive there. Like I feel safe. I feel safe with Bitcoin. I have done ever since I first saw it. I'm like, okay, here's this incredible thing that I can trust, that no matter what, no matter even if the whole world is trying to kind of do something, no one can kind of touch that piece of data. And it's amazing. But now when you think about data, it needs to have the same kind of financial, or what it needs, like that's why I kind of heard about Arweave, and I was interested to know who knows about Arweave, because you do pay, you make a one-off payment, and then there is an algorithm that says, based on the rate of acceleration of the growth of the technology of storing data, we can estimate the price of storing this piece of data, which is going to stay the same size forever in this ever-expanding world of storage. And so you pay a single price, which is, I think, when I looked, it's maybe 100x cheaper than sort of Bitcoin around there. And then you can store something in what looks to be permanent storage. And I'm just interested to know about that cross-domain thing. Like, can I recursively do this? Because what I'm building at the moment is like a music production platform, but could we build all of these things? Could you build all manner of different applications, not just audio, but video, all different applications that you don't necessarily have the application, but you have the application off-chain, but in one of these types of permanent storage where it's guaranteed to be in the same place for hopefully as long as, if not longer than Bitcoin, than the data on the Bitcoin that it's talking to. As long as those two things, we can be confident that they will have the same direct sort of hard line of sight reference to each other forever, then I don't see why we can't really start accelerating with this stuff. Because all, like my player now, it will play an album or it'll play music videos, and it's whatever you want to do recursively on chain. I've got it down to 100 bytes with a kind of cheat type one that I wasn't, for some reason I didn't really like it. The one that I settled with, which could be the one which has like, it's like a dedicated piece of ordinal technology, is 150 bytes, and that will hold an album or a load of albums, or that's just the music sense. There's lots of things that we can distribute when you can get something recursively down to that size. And then that now, even with like crazy fees online, it allows you to not only attach some data, which is kind of what I'm doing with Audionals, is the idea of attaching data so that songs become, attribution becomes something that's just ubiquitous and transparent, because everything, and we can do this as well. We can take existing songs and put them off chain. Don't worry about the on chain thing, but as long as we can get them somewhere where the chain can say, yep, that was put here then, it's still there now, that's your kind of master. And then we can start building this kind of new system of payment rails for the performing rights organizations around the world to eventually look at and go, hey, this is really cool. You click on this song, even if it's a song that's been made through like the ordinal sequencer, where someone's gone in and they've trimmed down a kick drum from here and a snare drum from there, and they've built new songs. They can just click on that song file, and ultimately the DNA of the song just rattles off a list of Bitcoin addresses and says, here's the Bitcoin address that belongs to, for example, the owner of the first song. Here's the Bitcoin address that belongs to the person who captured the kick drum and put it in this other song. Here's, they're all in this Merkle tree. And I think, that once we can figure out if there is a standard that's worth looking into, like Gaia was saying that we were looking into at This Is Number One a while ago. I kind of would love to be able to, between talking to a few people, to kind of come to a conclusion and go, this is where you should be working. This is the data layer that we should be looking at, because Bitcoin is great. Stacks is this amazing thing with a smart contract layer that we can go between, and then that data is the last piece of the puzzle. If I take, like, for example, Logic Pro, the Apple owned music production platform, could put that entire thing in somewhere like Arweave, where it's a once-off payment and everyone accesses everything, all the plugins, every single aspect of making music suddenly becomes part of this tree. It's way beyond even what people would have asked for, musicians and creators, because it's like everything. It's like every piece of labor is logged, and this song that's spat out at the end, literally it has a record of every piece of software, every bit of signal processing, all the way back to the original sample, which is actually still being played out of the song that it was sampled from every time you're playing this song. It's incredible. And it could be, as a musician prior to getting into this world, as a musician before crypto, I'd never dreamed that would happen. Certainly, even with the Bitcoin thing, I think this goes back to what I was sort of thinking about at the start, was I never imagined I'd get back into the creative stuff on this close to Bitcoin. It's almost a bit too close for comfort. I have to admit I was a bit wary, which is why I didn't inscribe until around 50,000, because my instant thought was, this is a price tag on how to buy a block, how to buy block time, and for me it felt like it was another attack vector. So it took me a little while to kind of appreciate that. And this is where, again, with you, Charlie, your experiences with mining, that obviously is a really interesting thing to be looking at, because you're looking well beyond price. You're looking at, as you said, you were talking about gas and oil. I guess that's kind of cool that Bitcoin's got to this level now where it's kind of worth kind of considering all of these different aspects, but yeah, it's super interesting, because I guess that's like, I remember people used to say it's like planes, how if the price of fuel goes up, it's like how that will relate to going on holiday or things like that. And you've taken that to another level.
Yeah, there are which surpasses a certain difficulty amount, and the way we find that hash is we run these computers. We run them, and they consume a lot of energy, and those computers produce hash rate. Hash rate is a new type of commodity, which actually has a lot of analogies to other commodities in the world. Obviously, oil and gas, but you could say, agriculture, water, silicone, like things like that. But hash rate's a little bit different because you don't store it. It's produced in the moment that it is created, and it can be teleported anywhere, just with a message. So it's a very interesting new type of ongoing commodity. And then that hash rate is then what secures another type of like scarce asset, which is the amount of data that you can put on Bitcoin. And that data is another finite kind of, I use the word finite loosely here. It's a limited amount that you can take advantage of, and it creates a whole new type of space. And that's what I call, many of us call block space. The stuff you can put into a block. And so when you describe talking about like putting like a music sequencer or a DAW or like some kind of, the things that you like to build, Jim, like on Bitcoin, like, yes, you can put many of those. Theoretically, you can put most any kind of data that you want. And if it's some kind of executable file or some kind of software, and you can make it fit that, that can work. But what happens is, because it is a commodity, block space, it's priced as such. And so when we talk about the fees happening on Bitcoin, we're really seeing the market discover what is the value of this commodity. And so when it really, my thesis is that we live in a very interesting time, kind of in the early years of Bitcoin, where it's cheaper to use. Yeah, it seems crazy expensive now, but like theoretically, according to Bitcoin's security model and design, it has to be
a revenue generating block space. Fees have to be the driver of miner revenue. And so it's almost like I want to encourage as many people to put as many things on Bitcoin right now as possible, because like it may not be economically feasible in 10 years to ever put like a full video or audio file or music sequencer on chain, just because you'll be competing against large institutions for like institutional and even like state level data products. But right now, the average person can actually achieve getting some of this block space while it's just not in as much demand. So it's really interesting. I love talking about block space, but then it's also like because it's open to everyone, and that's the crazy thing. Like, not all is accessible to everybody. Like, the average person these days can't just go procure oil. You have to be, you've got to drill for it, produce it, takes engineering and all this stuff. But like the average person today with a small computer called a node, or even just from your phone, you can utilize the tools around you and just pay a not too insane fee to put data on chain forever. And it's accessible to you and the large institutions. You're all paying the same rate for this block space. And that's what's really cool, is I think is really attractive to artists, because artists tend to gravitate where, like, a lot of people think, oh, Bitcoin's just for tech people. I mean, it's always going to be biased towards more techie and financial and like economic minded people, but like it's equally attractive to artists, because artists typically like to be first movers in new ways. We like to try our hand at experimenting with new mediums. Block space is the ultimate new medium. It is like the most pristine type of canvas. We talk about, like, when Casey talks about this idea of inscriptions, he talks about like Bitcoin as a canvas, and it's a place you can put your art and your goofy ideas. And so like I love seeing art, particularly music. Music's hard to do because it's more data heavy, but you can get really creative. You can marry the technical and the artistic with projects like yours, Jim, like the sequencer. You basically, it's a one-time spend to preserve a sound bite, which you then are able to combine with other sound bites dynamically, and it creates a whole fascinating mechanism. So I don't know, I kind of just connected the idea of oil and gas as a global commodity, geopolitical linchpin, if you will, now to analogizing it to block space, and how artists are like the tip of the spear of the like people experimenting and discovering how this block space gets used and priced. I love this topic. I think in 10 years we'll look back at something like your music sequencer, the Audio Nulls project. It'll be like, that was pretty fucking dope. That was really cool. Nobody, in 10 years that's going to cost an incredible amount to put on Bitcoin. But for now, you can immortalize yourself on chain. So
Awesome, man. It's been amazing having you, just every now and then throwing out little nuggets to people, because I think it is one of those things that is, it's really exciting, but I think people also don't realize how much flexibility there is with audio and processing. Like in studios, you can take a kick drum and put it through several plugins that might each be just several kilobytes, and you can turn that sound into something completely different. And so this is how like the sample CDs of the future can be like this, and yet when you're hearing that crazy sound, the crazy sound in its DNA is saying, here's the song that this sound is playing from, here's the reverb unit, the reverse audio plugin, the this, that and the other, the pitch shifter, the time stretcher, and here we are at the end with this completely different, unique sound, and yet it's just tied through this Merkle tree, through every effect unit that's done it. Whether you want to use an effect unit you love, but you've got GPT, you can just go, hey, I'm just going to make my own effect unit. Here's my reverb unit. Maybe other people use my reverb unit in their songs. And even these companies like Splice and companies that have these kind of convoluted models for charging people sort of lifetime fees to try to get back the money that they lose or the money that they'll make in the future on royalties, for it all just to be completely transparent and just purely data driven. That's kind of a dream. But yeah, the idea of getting it on chain, it's like, I feel now like the on chain element is more about the instructions for something that is off chain but as permanent, that can then really open this up. It can open it up to existing recordings, existing songs, and once you've got actual music production platforms that are operating in this manner, I think it's just going to be an absolute free for all when people can just make their own sort of plugins. It's like anyone can make a plugin now. Anyone can use your plugin. If they do, you're going to get attribution for it forever, for as long as this chain exists and as long as that data exists.
I like to imagine. I think one thing that I've been talking about more lately is that because there is a limited amount of data we can put on Bitcoin, that means that we can't necessarily put all of the data, all of the songs, all the music on Bitcoin, but it allows us to figure out it forces us to be very efficient with our data, and it allows us to figure out what is the most valuable data to us. And in some cases, like I don't know if I would say like all songs in their lossless format go on Bitcoin, but what might be very important, and I talk about inscriptions particularly as a mechanism for state updates and provenance. Bitcoin as a timestamping server, you could hash that lossless song with the signature that you have and prove that you produced a hash of this song, and it becomes an immutable, cheap, inexpensive copywriting mechanism for your own proprietary music. Like, this has big ramifications, because like, how are you also going to like do your copywriting? Are you going to like, I know, like the letter, mail it to your, put a CD in a envelope, mail it to yourself, like the poor person method.
Yeah,
but it's
that
like
was the thing we learned when we were sort of kids.
Exactly.
This is the way you do it.
But now you're like, so maybe not maybe not everything should go on Bitcoin, but like perhaps you can prove beyond the shadow of a doubt, I, Jim, signed this hash of my file, which is my my wave file of my audio, and that proves that it existed, and it proves that I was the one to have produced it. That's powerful, especially in a world where like proving reality becomes much more difficult. In a world of where there's more smoke and mirrors obfuscating through artificially generated images and sound, it gets very hard to like prove existence. And Bitcoin, in its simple form, timestamps events, and you can timestamp something is happening that you did in fact produce this, And I think that's incredibly powerful. Even if that's all Bitcoin ever is a simple like record keeping. That's kind of what it is for money right now. It's just record keeping for like UTXO state, basically. And but it could be so much more than that, and that is kind of a lot of the whole hopes and dreams of blockchain, in that it like allows a neutral layer that's not some courthouse or some government system. Yeah, most of us, I live in the US, which has a fairly robust legal environment and in a good court system, but like I also want to preserve things outside of the state. And I think Bitcoin is incredibly powerful, especially for art, because art being enforced by art and ownership and existence of that art being enforced by a country doesn't seem like in the spirit of that to me. To me, to have a neutral network which preserves the that sequence of reality is like, to me, the most poetic thing and the most perfect place for art. So I think about that, and it is kind of poetic in that like you have a music sequencer which sequences short audio files. So there's a lot of great analogies here.
Yeah, I think for me the hardest part with all this, because it has been on my mind when I very first discovered it. I was still touring, and I remember saying to some of the bands, I was like boring the shit out of them basically back then with all of it. But I was saying, honestly, when this thing comes out, you're going to be able to build products where, when we walk off stage, the stage manager is just going to have an iPad, and he's just going to have their contract was they play for an hour, and that's it. That's the final box to tick. That stage manager can just tick the box when we walk off stage, and by the time we're at the bus, it's like everyone's been paid. It's done, because it's just triggered this domino effect. But that was 10 years ago, and it's like it's taken so bloody long. But here we are, eventually back here with, I feel like, an actual path to doing this now. It was all me being 10 years ahead of, just constantly thinking, how do you push this technology? And now we're actually kind of in that position. But I'd be really interested for someone else to jump up here. You guys are all able to unmute your mics, are you now? I think everyone's got the right role, but chime in and give us your thoughts anyway on the discussion, and what else you know about data solutions. You guys still able to unmute? I don't know. Don't know if I hope everyone can hear me. I'm gonna have to get on top of this whole tech stuff. I might have to get some tips from you, Charlie. I was thinking about getting an actual mixing desk out again, getting some hardware involved. Rafa, do not have to. You might have to go out and come back, guys. Sorry, go out and come back in. I think as long as you've got the role, I think it doesn't update your permissions when you're given the role. But if you go out and then come back,
oh yeah,
you should be able.
You gotta drop and then come back.
Yeah, I think you've got to kind of go out to kind of come back with. There you go. I can see your mute button has disappeared there, Rafa. How are you?
Hey, everyone. Charlie, Jim, it's to be here.
Hey, Rafa, good to talk to you.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, that it's so important to have sort of like a decentralized authority to basically timestamp art, and essentially, the fact that it's indestructible also is amazing. No terrorist would be able to to destroy the art and the culture, and I think that culture is so important in in humanity's history. I'm just wondering, the use cases, and so I'm here actually to discover a lot of what audionauts are doing. I have a lot to learn about that. And in terms of the use case, you still do have to sort of like enforce it in reality. And so I think there's also a lot that will be developed between sort of like the stamp itself on chain, and then authorities. Like, I think that authorities will still have an essential role to play there. And I'm interested to pick up your brains on how all these things will be built, and essentially also matching sort of the use case and with the cost, right? Because it comes with a cost to inscribe on Bitcoin. Curious to know what you guys think about this. For me, it's an essential sort of like topic. Without art, without music, life wouldn't be what it is. I have a saying. I like to say that music is my favorite color.
I love that, Rafa. You bring up a really good point. Like, what Bitcoin does, it can enforce state, but it cannot enforce. It doesn't necessarily enforce like in the physical world. Those are, and that is a much murkier, more physical and human element to it. But if we look at like the roles of governance and structures in our society, a lot of those exist to say, here is what is true and what happened. And then to enforce that into the world. But if we can remove or abstract some of that or offload some of that, then we reduce the centrality and controlling nature that those structures tend to amass. And Bitcoin is a perfect medium to accomplish some of that. Then it allows us to, as humans,